The following preview has been rated Good Weird by the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast. Please check out the full episode when it releases on Wednesday. New from the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast comes a review of personal growth, Labyrinths, Muppets, and David Bowie's bulging presence as Nicho and Chris explore the complicated ways of the family classic, Labyrinth. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris. And technically they're creatures, they're not Muppets.
They're kind...
The Henson Company has made a very clear distinction of who is what, and these, unfortunately, are all creatures.
They're Muppets to me.
No, in my heart, they're also Muppets. And I will use those two interchangeably, because sometimes it's just easier to say Muppet. But yeah, this one is a full creature production, which normally because let's be real, this was my choice. Yeah. Normally when I choose a Henson film, I am going for Muppets. I'm looking for Kermit the Frog. Yeah. I'm looking for Scooter. I'm looking for Rizzo the Rat. I mean, I made you watch the Wizard of Oz version.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I watched it on my own then.
Yeah, no, I have never seen a Muppet movie.
Okay, well, we'll get to those eventually. But this one is all creatures, which left him a lot more creativity room, which you see very, very apparently, because there's a lot going on in this movie. Yeah,
there is. And that's the unfortunate thing about this one, is it's kind of a distracted movie of, it knows what it wants to do, and it does a good enough job, but sometimes it goes off the path a little bit. The music is very weak, in my opinion, even though, like, Bowie did it, and I'm gonna be upfront, I'm not a Bowie fan, and I don't really know a lot of his music, so...
That's understandable.
Take that with a grain of salt.
And I agree that the music is weak for a musical. However, the music was one of those things that got released, I think, almost before the movie. Bowie and the composer for this film had all the music worked out before anybody really started going. And so if you're listening to it as a soundtrack, which I know is how most of us listen to it, We've all done it.
I listen to the soundtrack while I make my outline.
Yeah. The soundtrack is a lot of fun if you like 80s kind of rock pop sort of stuff. But as far as like a musical, it's a little just all over the place. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of very confusing songs. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Dance Magic Dance. It's confusing on who is where and who's what.
It's less cohesive than like Burst City as a musical.
Which is saying something.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate the practical effects of this movie. I think there's a lot that Labyrinth has going for it, especially if you're watching as a younger audience.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't think... And I agree, it does have a special spot in history, but I'm not a fan.
I like the humor in this a lot. I like Muppet humor, and there's quite a bit of that. There's also a good bit of Monty Python-styled humor, because Terry Jones helped write... or rewrite some of the script.
He overhauled the script. He didn't just partially rewrite it. He absolutely, completely changed it.
Yes, he did. And then I feel bad because you know for a fact that he overhauled that script, handed it back to them, and then randomly throughout the day they'd be like, what if we had a 30-foot tall tower of hands?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is this movie has a lot of creativity going for it.
It does, and it is much lighter than Dark Crystal, which I appreciate, because I do like Dark Crystal, but I don't want to rewatch it regularly, because it is quite a bit more. There's a lot more to digest there.
And I understand with Dark Crystal, the whole puppetry is a little off-putting when you first watch it.
Yeah, I do think that part of that like, normally I'm not a fan of, like, upping the quality on older movies, because, like, most of the time, I end up seeing things I didn't want to see. Mm-hmm. I think with most of the puppet films, though, I do like seeing it upped. Dark Crystal does look better with the, like, new reworked version that came out a few years ago. This one, I think, looks really good puppet-wise. Unfortunately, we watched the nice, like, anniversary edition, and boy, the age gap between Jareth and Sarah is worse. It's so much worse now that you can see all of the wrinkles.
But thematically, it works so much better for it, too.
It does. And also, like, the puppets look so much better. And you can really appreciate, like, how intricate and, like, how many people are actually working on each puppet, because you can kind of see it a little bit better. So I did like that. I also really liked that the DVD came with, like, a lot of information. The, like, behind-the-scenes bits were so cool.
Oh, yeah. And when it says it comes with a lot of information, there's one commentary, but there's a bunch of behind the scenes of, like, there's additional commentary. I wouldn't say it's full commentary. It's like partial commentary.
Yeah.
But there is hours upon hours of stuff for this movie. And I do appreciate that. I think that's such a great thing to show the process of making it. Not just making it, but the restoration of everything. Trying to keep the puppets as best they can because they can't go back and redo everything.
Very true. And I do think that this is one of the ones where, like, we're never going to get a revisit to Labyrinth like they did with Dark Crystal, because there's nothing more to do here, right?
No, it's a self-contained story.
It is. But it's one of those things where I would be interested in seeing the new version, the, like, more technology, more budget version of the Henson Company revisit this style of movie. Because I think we could do it better. I really like it, though. No,
I absolutely agree. And I do wish we had some people pushing the boundaries of, like, what anime's done in the last half decade, I'd say.
Sure.
With, like, it's branching out and being more accessible. But I think it always will have that obstacle of being its puppets.
Yeah, and something that we talk about a lot for this movie specifically is this movie is better if you know how everything was done. If you get to watch the, like, behind the scenes and the interviews before you watch it, it honestly helps a lot because you get to see how many people are working one puppet. You get to understand, like, how many motors are in one single face happening here, or how many people needed to operate this, or how heavy this piece of equipment or costume was. All of that makes pretty much everything the Henson Company has done at any point, with or without Jim, better. Example being one of the newer Muppet movies has Kermit the Frog riding a bicycle in full view. Which means that he has no sticks attached. It is a very complicated work. It is very impressive. But if you don't know how it's done, it doesn't feel impressive.
It's like Spider-Man doing the backflip at, what is it, Universal or something?
Yes.
Or
where
no,
he's
Disney.
Yeah, where he's like the sack of potatoes and, like, he does the flip. Yeah, it's incredibly impressive once you know how it's done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just is kind of like a fun time. And for some of us, this is a great fun time. I remember having a good time with this in high school, but I was the target audience, even though I wasn't in the 80s.
Yeah.
You weren't.
No. And that's the thing is, like, I pull myself back. I completely understand who it's meant for, and I try and look at it from that lens instead of my very cynical eye.
Yeah, because there is a lot wrong with this film. And I say that from a place of deep love.
Yeah.
But there is a lot that is happening all over the place. But sometimes that's okay.
Anywho, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird previews.
Check out the full episode.
Peace!